and thank you for joining us. Here are the latest updates on the escalating situation in Gaza. Civilians in northern Gaza are on the move, fleeing their homes by car, trucks, and on foot. Israel issued a warning to residents to relocate southward, affecting about 1.1 million people in the northern areas. The Israeli military acknowledged that it would take longer than a day to evacuate everyone but placed blame on Hamas for advising residents to disregard the order. The United Nations has expressed deep concern over the mass evacuation order, warning of devastating humanitarian consequences. Gaza is one of the smallest and most densely populated urban areas in the Middle East, making such a large-scale movement a significant challenge. Israel continues its bombardment of Gaza in response to Hamas attacks, resulting in the loss of more than 1,300 lives. Israel has also mobilized over 300,000 reservists along its southern border, although an intensified military operation has not been confirmed. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza is intensifying, with warnings of potential starvation. According to the Palestinian Health Ministry, nearly 1,800 people have been killed in Gaza, and the airstrikes have displaced 423,000 individuals, according to the UN. During a visit to Tel Aviv, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin pledged full U.S. support for Israel, emphasizing that this is no time for neutrality and calling for an end to false equivalence or excuses for the inexcusable. Thousands of people have fled to southern Gaza following the Israeli army's warning to move out of the northern part of the besieged enclave in anticipation of a ground offensive. The UN has criticized Israel for giving residents only 24 hours to move, deeming such relocation impossible. In response, Hamas has labeled the Israeli warning as fake propaganda and urged residents to ignore it. At least 9 Palestinians were killed by Israeli fire in various locations across the occupied West Bank, according to Palestinian health officials. The death toll in Gaza has reached 1,000 Palestinians, with 6,388 wounded in Israeli air attacks. Al Jazeera correspondents report that while thousands have relocated to the south, there is no evidence of a large-scale exodus. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas strongly opposed the mandatory relocation of Gazan Palestinians during a meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Amman, Jordan. He likened this move to a potential second Nakba, evoking memories of the significant Palestinian displacement during the 1948 conflict that led to the establishment of Israel. This development is in response to Israel's directive for all Gaza civilians to move to the southern areas. Simultaneously, the World Health Organization has urgently called for humanitarian access to the Gaza Strip. They have warned that Israel's blockade and recent bombardment have pushed the enclave's healthcare system to a breaking point. Gaza's hospitals are struggling, operating with just a few hours of electricity daily, while vital resources like fuel are being rationed to maintain critical services, such as intensive care, X-ray, and dialysis. The United Nations Health Agency has appealed for the establishment of a humanitarian corridor to facilitate the entry of healthcare workers into Gaza and the evacuation of the sick and injured. In Israel, more than 1,300 people have been killed, with over 3,000 wounded. The Israeli army has denied accusations of using white phosphorus in its military operations, calling them unequivocally false. This denial follows Human Rights Watch's allegations of Israel using white phosphorus in Gaza and Lebanon, putting civilians at serious risk. These are the latest updates on the situation in Gaza. Stay tuned for continuous coverage, and remember to subscribe to our channel for the most recent developments.